Put it simply, there is no player in league history that was more physically gifted to play basketball than Wilt Chamberlain. Standing 7'1", weighing between 260 and 320, a vertical leap of up to 42 inches, and the ability to run 40 yards in 4.6 seconds, no basketball player has ever been as gifted as the Big Dipper. Chamberlain may not have used this great gift to the advantage of his teams over his career, as is evident with only 2 championship rings, but he more than certainly used it to his own individual advantage, racking up a statistical resume surpassed by no one and owning over 70 records to this day, despite retiring at the end of the 1972-73 season. Ironically, when Wilt sacrificed his game for the benefit of the team, he won with 2 of the 10 best teams in league history. How good was Wilt with those teams? Bill Russell himself said of Chamberlain that if he had played that way for the whole of his career, there was no way that his Celtics would have been as dominant or revered. Russell was correct, and while many will point out the fact that Chamberlain's teams were not as superior as Russell's, a valid point in some seasons, Chamberlain and Russell played with a combined 27 All-Star selections each. It was just a matter of who didn't disrupt the flow and success of the team. This wasn't due to a lack of skill or ability from Wilt. This was just because his dominant way was unstoppable. Offensively, there wasn't much that Wilt couldn't do. Operating from the low block for most of his career, Chamberlain was unstoppable. Hook shots, drop steps, finger rolls, and a fading jumper either across the lane or away from the basket up to 18 feet saw defences praying that they could contain Wilt to an average night of 30 points. This offensive arsenal saw Wilt win 7 straight scoring titles from 1960 to 66 at an average of 39.6 points per game, with 5 seasons over 35 points per game, 2 seasons over 40 points per game, and that now famous 50.4 point per game season in 1961-62. Not only was quantity a factor for Wilt, so was quality. For his career, Chamberlain led the league in field goal percentage 9 times, with 4 of those linked to scoring titles. While his scoring began to dip, his accuracy improved. The final 7 seasons of his career saw him average 19.8 points, whilst shooting over 61%, with 6 seasons over 55%, 3 seasons over 60%, and a year shooting over 70%. And the totals. Chamberlain has the most points ever in a game, with a favoured 100 points, the most ever in a season at 4,029, and was the first player ever to score 30,000 career points. Chamberlain is also the fastest player ever to the major milestones of 5,000, 10,000, 15,000, 20,000, 25,000 and 30,000 points. Had Chamberlain not sacrificed his numbers, Chamberlain would sit first, not second, in the argument for the greatest scorer the game has seen. Rebounding isn't even a close call. Chamberlain averaged 22.9 rebounds a game for his career, leading to 11 rebounding titles, 8 of them averaging over 21 rebounds a game, 10 seasons over 20 rebounds per game, and 3 seasons averaging over 25 rebounds a game. So dominant was Chamberlain on the glass that he was only ever out-rebounded once in a playoff series. That was against Jerry Lucas in the 1965 Eastern Division semi-finals. He has the all-time career record for total rebounds, owns the top 7 single-season totals, and is the only man to grab over 2,000 rebounds in a season, a feat he accomplished twice. He has the 2 highest rebound totals for a playoff run, in 1969 and 1967, and has the most rebounds ever in a regular season game and the most rebounds ever in a playoff game. Only Bill Russell, with a better per 36 average, and Dennis Rodman with a higher rebounding percentage, can claim to be in the conversation with Chamberlain as the greatest rebounder ever. Passing? Once Chamberlain started to utilise his teammates with his passing game, it wasn't a close call. A career average of 4.4 a game is highlighted by the fact that Wilt led the league in total assists in 1967-68 as a centre. Chamberlain, in his MVP three-peat from 1966 to 1968, averaged 27.3 points, 24.2 rebounds, along with 7.2 assists. This was in part to prove a point. Chamberlain could pass the ball and get his teammates involved as much as it was to build up his numbers. Hell, Chamberlain was the only player ever to record a double-triple-double, that's 20 points, 20 rebounds, 20 assists, prior to Russell Westbrook in 2018-2019. Defensive numbers aren't available from Chamberlain's era, but of the 112 games where block numbers are accounted for through media outlets, Chamberlain averaged 8.8 a game, or around 986 blocks in 112 games. The fact Chamberlain has 2 All-Defensive First-Team honours from the absolute tail of his career also speaks volumes, not to mention he sits 5th all-time in defensive win shares, despite only rebounds being able to account for that number during his career. Durability was never a factor either for Wilt, as he never played less than 42 minutes a game in a season, averaged 45 minutes for a career, averaged over 47 on 4 different occasions during his career, and once averaged over 48 minutes a game. This meant that Chamberlain played in every minute of every game, averaging just 6 seconds of rest per game. This was aided not only by Chamberlain's ability as an athlete, but due to his clean game. Chamberlain never fouled out of a pro game and only averaged 2 fouls per game for his career. Chamberlain was drafted by Philadelphia in the 1959 NBA draft with fanfare that hasn't really been seen or appreciated since. Wilt's rookie season is simply the greatest rookie season in the history of sports. Rounded averages of 38 points, 27 rebounds and 2 assists saw Chamberlain win every award possible. So good was his rookie year that his points per game has only ever been topped twice by himself, and his rebounds per game only ever topped once by himself. With Chamberlain dominating the season, so many within the Warriors organisation felt it not a matter of when they would win a championship, but how many would they win. The dream matchup between Wilt and Russell in the postseason would not take long to come to the forefront. That year's Eastern Division Finals, to be exact. Chamberlain would top score in 2 of the 6 games. However, Russell would reduce Wilt Chamberlain from a 37-point per game regular season average and 38.7 points per game in the previous playoff series to 30.5 points per game in the Celtics' 6-game victory. This would be a sign of things to come, as Chamberlain would only manage to defeat Russell once in a playoff series for their career. With the season against the men under his belt, Chamberlain would boost his output once again. Raising his scoring, rebounding, shooting efficiency and minutes, Wilt would lead Philly back to the playoffs. However, Chamberlain would be useless to help as the Syracuse Nationals, who he eliminated the year prior, swept the Warriors off the floor. This became the first time in Wilt's career where many asked if he could share the workload more and give his teammates more of a chance. Would he do this in 1961-62? Of course not. What he did do was have the most dominant statistical season in league history. Wilt would average 48.5 minutes per game, 50.4 points per game, and 25.7 rebounds per game, shoot over 50% from the floor, and lead the Warriors to 49 wins en route to once again facing Bill Russell and the Boston Celtics in the Eastern Division Finals. A 7-game series of titanic proportions saw Wilt bring his team to the brink of the NBA Finals, falling short 109-107. Chamberlain needed to come up big in Game 7. Instead, second option Tom Mercery would lead all scorers as Chamberlain would be held to just 22 points on under 47% shooting. Russell again had the mental edge this season. While slowing Wilt Chamberlain in Game 7, he would win the MVP for the season as the Celtics won 60 games on the year. A new city, but the same Wilt Chamberlain. Another dominant scoring season for Chamberlain in 1962-63. This time, the clear evidence to his play not translating to team success was evident, as the Warriors only won 31 games and missed the playoffs. Despite the scoring load, many criticised Wilt giving up on the team and not playing both ends of the floor. This was evident as the Warriors gave up more points than any other team, and Wilt himself fell to the All-NBA second team. Revitalised after an off year, Wilt would lead the Warriors through to the NBA Finals. And guess who was waiting for him? Bill Russell. Yes, the man who had the entire league on lock was waiting for the winner of the Western Division Finals after a tough 7-game series with Bob Pettit and the St. Louis Hawks, where Wilt averaged 38.6 points, 23.4 rebounds, closing the series out with a 39.30 rebound game. Chamberlain would be removed from contention in just 5 games as Russell and the Celtics ran riot. Interestingly, Chamberlain would lead all scorers in 4 of the 5 games and led all rebounders in 3 of the 5 games. This was undoubtedly Chamberlain's best efforts against Russell. There was simply too much there from the Celtics. Many seem to think that this is how all of their playoff matchups went. This wasn't the case. Chamberlain began to boil over in 1964-1965. So poor was his attitude and approach to the game that the San Francisco Warriors traded him to the Philadelphia 76ers, a move that saw Chamberlain wake up and realise the game is about teams, not individuals. This move saw him average 10 less shot attempts, bump up his passing, and move the Sixers, now with 4 All-Stars, back to the Eastern Division Finals and another 7-game series battle with Bill Russell. it would all come down to the final possession of the game, and then Havlicek stole the ball. A fifth MVP and another victory over Chamberlain saw Russell move forward to the finals and another championship, as Wilt once again began to ponder what it took to win it all. Chamberlain once again delivered on the series, 30.1 points and 31.4 rebounds. But with an all-star advantage to Russell, it was proof that perhaps it was really time for Wilt to share the rock. On a side note, from 1960 to 69, Russell and the Celtics only ever had the all-star advantage in 1962, 64 and 68, while Chamberlain had the all-star advantage in 1965 and 1969. All other seasons, it was an even spread. However, Russell's ability to utilise his teammates saw greater success. It should also be noted that the next time a player who had made the All-NBA first team the year prior was traded was James Harden this year in 2021, over 50 years later. 1966 would be Chamberlain's last season leading the league in scoring, many seeing another defeat at the hands of Russell and the Celtics being the catalyst for Chamberlain to change his game. A 4-1 defeat in the Eastern Division Finals, despite leading the division for the season and winning the MVP, Chamberlain would become the kind of team player that few teams in league history have seen. Chamberlain would become a completely different player in 1966-67. A second consecutive MVP was one thing, but a reduction in scoring, a major improvement in passing and ball movement that teammates hadn't seen before, saw Philadelphia cruise to a then record 68-13 regular season record. The playoffs were almost a foregone conclusion, such was Chamberlain's level of play. A 3-1 defeat of Oscar Robertson at the Cincinnati Royals, a 4-1 defeat of Bill Russell and the Boston Celtics, followed by a 4-2 defeat of Rick Barry and the San Francisco Warriors. Chamberlain's individual playoff run is one of the best individual performances in league history. His rounded lines through 3 rounds, 28, 27 and 11 versus Cincinnati, 22, 32 and 10 versus Boston, and 18, 29 and 7 versus San Francisco. Consensus among all in the game saw Chamberlain the best player in all 3 series. And how could you not with a playoff run that saw you average a rounded 22, 29 and 9? Chamberlain was just 15 assists shy of a triple-double average, all at 7'1". Chamberlain winning his 3rd MVP in a row in 1968 and leading the league in total assists, Wilt would blow a 3-1 lead to the Celtics in the Eastern Division Finals. Chamberlain's shooting would go out the door, and many have suggested that he gave up the series, as he scored 20 points and 14 points in games 6 and 7 respectively. Chamberlain was done with Philadelphia. He wanted to go to Los Angeles, and Los Angeles was ready. Moving to the Lakers alongside Jerry West and Elgin Baylor, Chamberlain would lower all his game to adjust to the duo of the Lakers that, much like him, had suffered so much heartache at the hands of Russell and the Celtics. With the impending retirement of Bill Russell in the air, Chamberlain wanted to send Russell out on his back. While Chamberlain may have been the best player on the Lakers team, Jerry West led from the front in an attempt to dethrone the fabled Celtics dynasty. It all looked good until Game 7, when the Lakers let the Celtics run them up and down the hardwood of the Forum to a 17-point three-quarter time lead. Then suddenly, a deranged Jerry West turned things up and started the fight back for the purple and yellow. Looking like they would run over the top, Chamberlain went down with a knee sprain and, despite pleas to his coach, wouldn't return. The Celtics managed to hang on by a basket. The following season saw Chamberlain manage just 12 games due to injury, but would be back fighting in the playoffs once again, seeing the Lakers to the finals. With Russell gone, the Knicks rose to the challenge. The series tied at 2-2. MVP Knick centre Willis Reed would injure himself in their Game 5 win. Missing Game 6, Chamberlain would turn back the clock with an uncontested 45-point, 27-rebound effort. With Game 7 in Madison Square Garden, the Lakers looked all but set to take the title until Willis Reed miraculously returned for the opening 2 baskets. With West and Baylor unable to control the perimeter and Chamberlain not taking advantage of an injured Reed, which spoke to the soft nature Chamberlain displayed on the court, the Knicks would take the victory. No matter what seemed to happen, Chamberlain always seemed to find someone with a better sense of team. Another trip to the division finals and another loss saw Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and the Milwaukee Bucks outplay Chamberlain and the Lakers on the way to their championship success of 1971. While the Lakers would win 48 games that season, the following year saw them all but unbeatable as they went 69-13 on the season, including an NBA record 33 straight wins, and defeated the New York Knicks in the NBA Finals 4-1 as Chamberlain capped off his career with a Finals MVP. Ironically, Willis Reed would miss the series, something he would make up for the following year as the Knicks returned serve in 1973 with more championship success in a 4-1 defeat of the Lakers. This would be the last time Chamberlain stepped on an NBA floor as his career came to an end. Chamberlain would receive offers from Cleveland in 1980-81 and New Jersey in 1986-87 to return to the floor to play. Such was his fitness and ability, but he turned them down. Wilt Chamberlain is a member of the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame, was selected as a member of the NBA's 35th anniversary team, was selected as one of the NBA's 50 greatest players in 1997, and is the only player in league history to have his number retired on 3 different teams, with number 13 retired by the Golden State Warriors, Philadelphia 76ers, and Los Angeles Lakers. To just go over the top there of everything with the profile of Wilt Chamberlain, unlike the Russell video, I will encompass some of the records and career achievements of Wilt in the same video. So let's start off here. He has the highest points per game in a regular season at 50.4. He also holds the next 3 spots at 44.8 points per game, 38.4 points per game, 37.6 points per game. He has the most points ever in the regular season at 4,029. He also holds the second highest points total with 3,586. He has the most points in a game, obviously, at 100. Of the 11 70-point games in league history, Wilt has 6 of them. The rest of NBA history has 5. Of the 77 times in league history someone has scored 60 points or more, Wilt has 32 of them. That means that 45 of them belong to the rest of league history. Now, to give you an idea, Wilt hasn't played since the end of the 1973 season. Just to give you some perspective on that one. He has the most 50-point games in a regular season with 45. He also has the next most with 30, while no other player in league history has managed more than 10. And to give you some more perspective, only Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant are the other players in league history who have more than 20 for their entire careers. Wilt had 45 in one season. He also had another with 30. Most 40-point games in a regular season. He had 63 40-point games in a regular season. He also holds the next highest record of that margin with 52. He's tied first for the most consecutive scoring titles ever with 7, next to Michael Jordan. And just back on that 60-point game regular season issue there where he had 32 60-point games. The next closest to him is Kobe. Kobe only had 6. Most 50-point games for a career. Wilt Chamberlain had 118. The next closest is Michael Jordan in the mid-30s. Yes, nearly 4 times the amount of 50-point games for his career than Michael Jordan. The most 40-point games for a career at 271. Again, Michael Jordan the next closest. And he's still 98 behind at 173. Most 35-point games for a career at 381. And the next closest is Jordan, who's a little bit closer in this one. He's got 333. Most consecutive 60-point games for a career. He has 4. Chamberlain holds the next 2 longest streaks of 3 games and 2 games. And Chamberlain is still the only player ever to score 60 points on back-to-back nights. He has the most consecutive 50-point games at 7. He also holds the next 3 longest streaks, one of them at 6 and the other at 5. And he did 5 games of 50 points or more twice. He has the most consecutive 40-point games at 14, a streak he accomplished twice. He also holds the next longest streak at 10 games. The most consecutive 30-point games for a career at 65. Chamberlain also holds the next longest streak at 31, and James Harden at 30. He has the most consecutive 20-point games at 126. He also holds the next longest streak at 92. He has the most consecutive games leading all players in scoring at 40. Yes, that's right. He played half a season, 40 straight games, when nobody, not even on the opposition, outscored him. 40 straight games. That's unfathomable. The most consecutive games leading all teammates in scoring. 116. This man had 116 straight games where no teammate outscored him. His rookie records. He has the highest points per game for a rookie at 37.6. Most points in a season as a rookie at 2,707. He has the most points in a game for a rookie at 58, a feat he achieved twice. And he's tied with Allen Iverson for the most consecutive 40-point games as a rookie with 5. I think that's more showing Iverson in a good light than Wilt. The most points scored in a debut game. Wilt started his career with a casual 43 points. Again, as mentioned, he has the fewest games to the following points achievements. To 15,000, he played 358 games. To 20,000, only 499 games. To 25,691 and 941 games to 30,000 points. He has the most consecutive seasons, leading the league in made field goals at 7, a record he shares with Jordan, ironically, 7 being the number of consecutive scoring titles, a record he also shares with Jordan. Most field goals made in a season, 1,597. Wilt also holds the next 3 spots. He had 1,463 field goal makes in a season, a feat he accomplished twice, and 1,204. That being made field goals, the one that sits at 4th. Most field goals made in a game at 36. He also holds the next most at 31. And you'd be shocked to find that Wilt had 36 in that fabled 100-point game. It should also be noted that when it comes down to 50 field goal attempt games, that there have been 20 games in league history where a player has attempted 50 field goals. 3 of them happened before the shot clock. And Joe Fulks is responsible for all 3 of those. 17 have happened since the invention of the shot clock. 1 to Rick Barry. 1 to Elgin Baylor. Ironically, Elgin's happened in the same game as Wilt's, in one of Wilt's, and I believe it was this 31-point make effort. Probably if you can go and find that game, easily the biggest shootout night in league history. So there's 1 to Elgin, there's 1 to Rick Barry. Kobe, in his last game against Utah, had a 50 field goal attempt game. Wilt Chamberlain had 14 games for his career of 50 field goal attempts or more, and I can tell you now that 11 of those 14 games came between 1961 and 2 and 1962-63. Such was the green light this man had. No man had a greater green light in league history than Wilt Chamberlain. Most free throws made in a game, 28, a record shared by Adrian Dantley. Let's look at more rookie records. He has the most points in a playoff game for a rookie at 53, and most rebounds in a playoff game for a rookie at 35. Other playoff records include most field goals made in a 7-game series. He made 113 shots across 7 games. Most field goals made in a game, 24. This is a record that he also shares with John Havlicek and Michael Jordan. Most career rebounds, 23,924 rebounds. Wilt is the only player in league history with 30,000 points and 20,000 rebounds. I don't want to hear any more statistical arguments for why player A is greater than player B, because if stats is your argument, I think we know who we're talking about here. Most career rebounds per game at 22.9. Most seasons leading the league in rebounding at 11. Dennis Rodman is the closest in this category when he led the league for 7 straight seasons. Most seasons with 1,000 rebounds or more, he had 13 seasons of 1,000 rebounds or more. This is a man who played 14 years and realistically had 14,000 rebounds minimum. Go and look at the record book and tell me how many players in pro basketball across the ABA and NBA, let alone the NBA, have 14,000 career rebounds. Highest rebound per game for a season at 27.2. Chamberlain also holds the next 2 spots at 27 per game and 25.7 per game. And both he and Bill Russell occupy the top 18 spots on the highest rebounds per game for a regular season, with 9 spots each in the top 18. Holds the record for the most rebounds in a season at 2,149 and holds the top 7 highest totals in league history. He has the most rebounds in a game at 55. And besides Bill Russell, only Nate Thurman and Jerry Lucas have ever reached 40 rebounds in a game. Rookie rebounding records, most rebounds per game as a rookie, 27 a game. Most rebounds in a season as a rookie at 1,941. Most rebounds in a game by a rookie at 45. And he also had games of 43 rebounds as a rookie, 42 rebounds, of which he did twice as a rookie, and 40 rebounds. More playoff rebounding records, most rebounds in a postseason ever, at 444. Yes, that's right, 444 rebounds in a postseason. Wilt also has the second most at 437. He has the most rebounds in a playoff game at 41. And he has the highest single series rebound per game record. He had a series where he averaged 32 rebounds a game. More playoff rebounding records. He has the most rebounds in a 5-game playoff series at 160. The most in a 6-game series at 171, which is also the finals record for a 6-game series. And a 7-game series, he had 220 rebounds. 220 rebounds in 7 games. Whilst holding the record for the most rebounds in a playoff game by a rookie, again, also scored 53 points, a rookie record. Yes, that's right, the rookie record for points, rebounds, and probably block shots if they were kept, would be held by Wilt Chamberlain. He has the highest finals rebound per game average for a career. Wilt Chamberlain in the NBA Finals averaged 24.6 rebounds per game. Wilt's rebounds per game in his finals career is greater than all but 14 players' points per game career average in the finals. Yes, let me repeat that again. Wilt Chamberlain's career finals rebounds per game average is 24.6. His rebound per game average in the finals for his career is greater than all but 14 point per game career averages in the finals. And just to give you some perspective, a basket's worth 2, a rebound's worth 1. Says a lot. Most rebounds in the All-Star game for a career at 197. Even in the stat padding era, this has not yet been surpassed. Gives you an idea of the pace they played at, and when you consider everything, it is remarkable that these guys were able to do this in canvas Converse shoes. Other rebounding facts by Wilt: he never grabbed less than 10 rebounds in any game ever. Ever. This man was guaranteed 10 rebounds. He never averaged less than 18 rebounds per game. Never averaged less than 20 rebounds per game in a playoff run. And he's the only player to record 2,000 rebounds in a season. And he did it twice. He nearly did it 3 times. Let's look at some versatility records. He has the most double-doubles in league history at 968. He now has the second highest season PER. That was a record that was broken by Giannis. But the previous record he held was 31.82. And we've only just seen that broken. Nearly 50 years it took for that record to be broken. He's also now second and third with 31.74. So Giannis had to crack the top 3 in order to even try and sniff that record. He has the most consecutive double-doubles ever at 227. That's nearly 3 seasons where at minimum he had 10 points and 10 rebounds. He also has the second and third longest streaks at 220. Yes, that's right. This man had a streak of 227 consecutive double-doubles, a streak of 220 consecutive double-doubles, and he has the third longest streak as well. That was only at 133. Just a season and a half worth of games. He has the most consecutive triple-doubles ever in a playoff run. And he had 4 straight playoff triple-doubles. He also has the most All-Star game double-doubles at 7. Let's look at more versatility facts. He's the only player to lead the league in points and rebounds in the same season. He's the only player to ever do it. He led the league in points and rebounds. He made the most shots and he collected the most misses. And he did it 6 times. Let's not get hung up on the fact that he did it. He did it 6 times. 6 of his 7 scoring titles came with a rebounding title. Well, 6 of his 7 scoring titles come with a rebounding title. That's unfathomable. Imagine that energy today. Imagine if someone scored that much and rebounded that much. You'd have to say the league's a bit easy, right? Or would we still stick with the evolution, bigger, stronger, faster argument? No, it's energy expelled. That's ridiculous. He's the only player to lead the league in rebounds and assists in the same season. So if he wasn't scoring points, he was dishing points. He's the only player to do it. He's the only player to ever lead the league in points, rebounds, and assists in any season. He has a scoring title, he has a rebounding title, and he has an assist title. Now, I recently did a thread on my Twitter regarding the fact that David Robinson had a scoring title, a rebounding title, and a blocks title. The three key statistical categories if you're a big guy. And yet Wilt Chamberlain didn't have blocks recorded for him. You can only fathom the fact that Wilt would be the only man in league history, not only with a scoring title, a rebounding title, and an assist title, he'd also probably have a blocks title as well. Let's go on to more versatility facts. He's the only player to lead the postseason in points, rebounds, assists, and field goal percentage in any postseason. So he's the only player, pretty much, he's the only player in league history that has a postseason scoring title, a postseason rebounding title, a postseason assist title, and at one point led the postseason in field goal percentage. He's the only player to ever do it at least once in a different postseason. Not all four at once, but he's the only player to have done each of those at least once across his playoff career. He's the only player to lead the league in rebounds and assists in the same postseason. So not only did he have seasons where he led them in rebounds and assists, he had postseasons where he led them in rebounds and assists. Where is your argument here for stats and facts if you're not going to consider Wilt Chamberlain? He's the first player to record a double, triple-double, a feat that finally got matched 50 years later. 50. Let's not get hung up on the double, triple-double. It took 50 years for someone to catch him, or at least equal him. And he's the only person to record a double, quadruple. Now, many of you are going to ask what a double, quadruple is. Well, a double-double is 10 points, 10 rebounds. A triple-double is 10 points, 10 rebounds, and say 10 assists or 10 steals or 10 blocks or however you want to do it. A double quadruple is 40 or more in two different categories. Wilt Chamberlain did that. At least 40 points and 40 rebounds at least once. He had a 70-40 night. He's the only player to ever do it. Let's look at more versatility facts. Wilt has 124 games of 30 points and 30 rebounds for his career. The rest of league history combined has 32. So 30 for 30, Wilt has 124. The rest of league history has 32. The most games leading both teams in points, rebounds, and assists. He had 33 games where he led everybody in points, rebounds, and assists on the floor. 33 of them. He's the only player to average 20 points, 20 rebounds in a 7-game final series. 20 and 20 every game on the big stage. Doesn't happen. Let's look at some durability records. The most seasons leading the league in minutes. He had 8 seasons where he was the league leader in minutes. He also has the most consecutive seasons leading the league in minutes at 5. He has the highest career minutes per game average at 45.8. If a player plays 45 minutes in a double overtime game now, it's a miracle. This guy just did it on the regular. Most minutes played in a season, 3,882. And to give you some perspective on that 3,882, as I mentioned, Wilt's possible average rest time in those games in that season was 6 seconds. I.e., we've got a quick little break here. We're going to drag it out and you're going to have the last 6 seconds off heading into halftime. Might extend your break a little bit. That's it. It's unbelievable how much time Wilt Chamberlain spent on the floor. And not only does he hold the most minutes played in a season at 3,882, he holds the next 4 spots. He is the top 5 for minutes played in league history. More durability records. Again, averaged 45.8 in that fabled 50-point per game season. That's the highest of any season, 48.5 minutes. The most complete games in a season. He completed 79 full games. He played every minute of 79 games in a season. There would not be players today that would do that for a career. 79 complete games in a season. Oh, and to give you more of an idea, 47 of those games were consecutive. I challenge you to find a player today who's played 47 complete games in their career. Many are going to say, oh, but you said he never fouled out of a game. No, he was thrown out. Being thrown out and fouled out are two different things. Career minutes record per game in the playoff at 47.24. Highest playoff series minutes per game. This man had a playoff series of 49.33 minutes a game. That's 49 minutes and 20 seconds a game in a playoff series. He has the most minutes in a 3-game, 4-game, 5-game, and 6-game playoff series at 144, 195, 240, and 296 respectively. Again, never fouled out of a career game. If we look at his accuracy records, he has the most consecutive seasons leading the league in field goal percentage at 5. He has the single season did have until Mitchell Robinson broke it. He did have the single season field goal percentage record at 72.7. A record that stood nearly 50 years, people. Don't get hung up on the number. Let's look at how long that record lasted. Most consecutive field goals made at 35. This man made 35 straight shots. At minimum, 70 points. 70 uninterrupted points. Not including going to the foul line, where even if Wilt missed half of them, he still made 10. Most field goals in a game without a miss at 18. That's 36 points, people. Uninterrupted, unstoppable. You thought Giannis looked good in the All-Star game, where there was no defense. Wilt was doing it in the game, back when you did play D. You didn't play D, you didn't play in the league. So just remember that all of these, anytime anyone uses numbers and facts as the pure base of their argument, just remind them of everything you've heard Wilt Chamberlain achieved in this video. There are plenty around that claim numbers are the be-all and end-all. And I mean, if that's the case, then Wilt Chamberlain has to be the greatest player that's ever played in this game. It's pure and simple.